My family declared me legally dead. He died 3 years ago. This is an imposter, my mother testified. The bank manager slid my driver's license back across the counter like it was contaminated. I'm sorry, sir, but this account belongs to a deceased individual. I can't help you. I stared at her, at the plastic card with my face on it, my name, my signature. That's me. I'm Nathan Crowley. I'm standing right here. She glanced at her screen, then back at me with that careful expression people use when they think you're dangerous or delusional. According to our records, Nathan Crowley died on March 8, 2022. We received the death certificate from his family. If you're attempting to access a deceased person's funds, that's fraud. I need you to leave, or I'll call security. My hands went numb. The fluorescent lights overhead suddenly felt too bright, the air too thick. I'd been back in Boston for 36 hours. Hadn't slept, could barely eat. 3 years in witness protection, 3 years of looking over my shoulder, 3 years of being someone else, and now I couldn't even access my own bank account, because apparently I was dead. I left before security arrived, stood on the sidewalk outside Fleet Financial, mid-October wind cutting through the cheap jacket I'd bought at a thrift store in Cincinnati. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Crowley? This is attorney David Kowalski with Berkshire Legal Services. Your sister Victoria has been trying to reach you. There's a matter regarding your late father's estate that requires immediate attention. I'm not late. My father is. I know this must be confusing. Perhaps we could meet this afternoon to discuss? He gave me an address. Downtown office building, 14th floor. I had nothing else. No job, no money, no ID that apparently worked anymore. I went. The office smelled like leather and old books. Kowalski was 50-something, gray at the temples, expensive suit, kind eyes that didn't quite hide his confusion when I walked in. He gestured to a chair. Mr. Crowley, I have to admit, when Victoria told me you'd contacted her, I thought it was some kind of cruel prank. He opened a file. You were declared legally dead in August 2022, 5 months after you disappeared. Your mother filed the petition. The room tilted slightly. Disappeared. Like I'd chosen to vanish. Like the federal marshals who'd pulled me out of my apartment at 3 a.m. with 20 minutes to pack hadn't explained anything to anyone, because that's how witness protection works. I didn't disappear. I was relocated. Under federal protection. Kowalski's expression shifted. Witness protection. I can't discuss the details. It's still classified. But I testified against the Donovan crime family in early 2022. The U.S. Marshal Service moved me out of state immediately after. He made notes. Do you have documentation? Not on me. Everything's sealed. My handler would need to authorize release. Who's your handler? I gave him the name. Special Agent Leonard Briggs, Boston FBI Field Office. Kowalski wrote it down. I'll need to verify this. In the meantime, I should tell you what's happened in your absence. He slid papers across the desk. Death certificate, dated August 15, 2022. Signed by my mother, Diane Crowley, as next of kin. Cause of death listed as probable drowning. Body not recovered. Your father, Richard, passed away from a heart attack in January 2023. His will divided the estate between your mother and your sister. There was also a life insurance policy on you. $750,000. Your mother collected it in September 2022. My stomach dropped. $750,000 for a death that never happened. Did anyone look for me? Did they file a missing persons report? Kowalski hesitated. According to the police report, you'd been depressed, drinking heavily, talking about ending things. The night you disappeared, you left your phone, wallet, and keys in your apartment. Your car was found at Revere Beach 2 days later. Suicide was suspected, but without a body, your mother had to wait the statutory period before filing for death declaration. I laughed. Bitter, sharp sound. That's bullshit. All of it. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't suicidal. I testified against men who kill people for a living, and the FBI moved me to keep me alive. Prove it, Kowalski said quietly. Because right now, legally, you don't exist. I stood up. Where's my mother? Where's Victoria? Your mother lives in your father's house in Brookline. Victoria has an apartment in Cambridge. Mr. Crowley, I need to advise you that approaching them without legal representation could complicate things, especially if they contest your identity. Why would they contest it? I'm standing right here. He met my eyes. Because if you're really Nathan Crowley, they committed fraud. Possibly insurance fraud, estate fraud. Your mother could face criminal charges. People do desperate things when they're cornered. I left his office, stood on the street, called the number I'd memorized 3 years ago, the one I was only supposed to use in emergencies. Special Agent Leonard Briggs answered on the third ring. Nathan? Jesus Christ, where are you? Boston. You're not supposed to be in Boston. The trial's over. The Donovans are in prison. I was told I could come back. Who told you that? Agent Briggs's voice was sharp. Your handler retired 6 months ago. The case file should have been transferred, but there's been some administrative clusterfuck. You were supposed to stay put until we gave explicit authorization. Nobody told me that. I've been in a studio apartment in Cincinnati for 3 years. My handler stopped responding to calls in April. I waited 4 months, then came home. Silence on the line. Then Briggs swearing softly. Okay, listen. Where are you right now? Downtown. Stay there. Don't go to your old apartment. Don't contact family. I'll meet you in 30 minutes. Hanover Street, the cafe across from St. Leonard's Church. He hung up. I walked, past places I used to know. The corner where I'd buy coffee every morning. The park where I'd eat lunch. Everything looked the same, but I was a ghost moving through it. Dead men don't get to reclaim their lives. Briggs arrived exactly 30 minutes later. He looked older, harder, gray stubble, lines around his eyes. We sat in the back corner, coffee between us, neither of us touched. "Tell me everything," he said. So I did. 3 years in Cincinnati. Fake name, fake job, fake life. Monthly check-ins with my handler, Deputy Marshal Carl Fleming. Everything normal until April when Fleming stopped answering. I followed protocol, waited, didn't break cover. But by August, I was running out of money. The stipend hadn't come. Nobody was responding. I couldn't stay invisible forever. Briggs pulled out his phone, made notes. Fleming had a stroke. He's in a nursing home now. Probably won't recover. Your file should have been reassigned, but WITSEC's been understaffed. Things fell through the cracks. He looked up. You should have called the main office. I did. Got bounced around for 2 weeks. Finally, someone told me the threat level was reassessed. The Donovans who mattered are in federal prison. Life sentences, no parole. I was clear to return. Show me the authorization. I don't have it in writing. It was a phone call. Briggs's jaw tightened. From who? I don't remember his name. Some administrator. Jesus, Nathan. You can't just leave witness protection because someone on the phone said it's fine. You need written authorization, documented approval. I stared at him. So what? I'm stuck in limbo? I can't go back to Cincinnati. I have no money, no ID that works. Apparently, I'm legally dead. My mother collected $750,000 in life insurance. My family thinks I drowned. Briggs rubbed his face. Okay. First thing, I'll get your federal documentation sorted. Proof of identity, proof you were in WITSEC, letters to the bank, Social Security, DMV. That'll take a few days. Second, your mother. If she filed a fraudulent death certificate, that's a crime. But proving intent is complicated. She might claim she genuinely believed you were dead. The circumstances were suspicious. You vanished without warning. How was she supposed to know you were in witness protection? We don't tell families. That's the point. So she gets away with it? She collected $750,000 on my death. With your father's estate too, she's probably sitting on close to $2 million. Briggs hesitated. You want justice or revenge? Justice. Then you need a lawyer. Good one. And you need to be smart about this. Don't confront her. Don't make threats. Document everything. Let the system work. I laughed. The system declared me dead. Briggs didn't smile. Yeah, well, now we're going to undeclare you. But it's going to be messy. I leaned back. What about Victoria? My sister. Is she part of this? Briggs shrugged. Don't know. But she inherited from your father's estate. If you come back from the dead, that inheritance might be contested. She's got skin in the game too. Family? I said quietly. Yeah, Briggs agreed. Family. I stayed in a motel that night. Cheap place off Route 1, cash only. Stared at the ceiling. Couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about the last time I'd seen my mother. February 2022. Sunday dinner. She'd made pot roast, the way she always did. My father had been in good spirits, talking about retirement, about traveling. Victoria had been there with her fiancé, some finance guy whose name I couldn't remember. Everything normal. Everything fine. Then, 3 days later, I watched 2 men execute a third in a parking garage. Wrong place, wrong time. I was walking to my car after a late shift, heard the shots, hit the ground, saw their faces. They saw mine. I ran, called 911, gave a statement. Then the detectives arrived. Then the FBI. Then I learned I'd witnessed a Donovan family hit, and if I testified, I'd be signing my own death warrant unless I disappeared. I testified anyway, because the man they killed had a wife and 2 kids, and someone needed to speak for him. The trial was March 2022. By March 10th, I was in Cincinnati with a new name and $2,000 cash. I couldn't call my family, couldn't explain. The marshals told them I was missing, but nothing more. Operational security, and my mother had used that silence to bury me. 3 days later, I sat in Attorney Kowalski's office again, this time with documentation. Federal letters, WITSEC confirmation, Agent Briggs's affidavit. Kowalski read everything twice. This is extraordinary. I've never seen a case like this. He looked up. You understand what happens next? You'll need to petition the court to overturn the death declaration. That requires a hearing. Your mother will be notified. She'll have the opportunity to contest. Why would she contest? I'm alive. DNA, fingerprints, whatever they need. Because if the court rules in your favor, she'll have to return the insurance money, possibly face fraud charges, and your father's estate will be reopened. You're a legal heir. Victoria's inheritance could be reduced. Kowalski leaned forward. Nathan, your family has built a life on the assumption you're dead. Bringing you back destroys that. People fight hard to protect what they have. Let them fight. I want my life back. He nodded. Then we filed the petition. But I need to warn you, this is going to get ugly. Your mother will hire lawyers. Good ones. They'll try to argue you're not who you claim to be. They'll bring up your disappearance, the circumstances, the timing. They'll make you look unstable, unreliable. They'll question everything. Good, I said. Let them. because I have the federal government backing me up. And they have a fraudulent death certificate and $750,000 they shouldn't have. The petition was filed on October 23rd. The court scheduled a hearing for November 18th, 4 weeks. In that time, I got my federal ID restored. Social Security reactivated my number. The bank, reluctantly, unfroze my account. Turned out I had $11,000 left. Everything else, my savings, my investment accounts, had been transferred to my mother as executor of my estate. Gone. I moved into a small apartment in Somerville. Cheap, month-to-month lease. Started working part-time at a warehouse. Night shifts, loading trucks. It was mindless work. Physical. Exhausting. Kept me from thinking too much. Kowalski called regularly with updates. Your mother hired Sterling and Cross. Big firm. Expensive. They're filing a motion to dismiss, claiming insufficient evidence of identity. We expected this. They're also requesting a psychological evaluation. They want to argue you might be suffering from delusions or mistaken identity. Can they do that? They can request it. The judge will decide. But Nathan, it might not be a bad idea. An independent psych eval could actually help us. Prove you're competent, credible, not suffering from any mental health issues that would impair your judgment. I agreed. 2 weeks before the hearing, I sat in Dr. Raymond Foster's office. He was a forensic psychologist. 60s, calm demeanor, sharp eyes. We talked for 3 hours. He asked about my childhood, my relationship with my parents, my work history, the events leading to witness protection, my time in Cincinnati, my decision to return. He gave me cognitive tests, personality assessments, memory evaluations. His report came back clean. Subject demonstrates no evidence of delusional thinking, psychosis, or impaired reality testing. Cognitive function is within normal limits. Subject's account of events is consistent, detailed, and corroborated by federal documentation. In my professional opinion, Nathan Crowley is competent, credible, and accurately representing his identity and experiences. Kowalski was pleased. This is good, really good. Now they can't argue you're confused or fabricating. The hearing's in 6 days. Are you ready? I don't know. I haven't seen my mother in 3 years. Haven't spoken to Victoria. I don't know what to expect. Kowalski's expression softened. Expect them to fight. Expect them to say things that hurt. Remember, they're not fighting you. They're fighting the consequences of what they did. That doesn't make it easier. No, he agreed. It doesn't. November 18th arrived cold and gray. The courthouse was downtown, old granite building, marble floors, high ceilings that echoed footsteps. Courtroom 6C, Judge Patricia Thornton presiding. I arrived early with Kowalski. We sat at the petitioner's table waiting. Then they came in. My mother first. She looked older, thinner, perfectly dressed in a charcoal suit, pearls, hairstyled. She saw me, and her face went white. She grabbed the railing for support. Then Victoria. My sister looked exactly the same. Blonde, polished, expensive clothes. She glanced at me, expression unreadable, then looked away. Their lawyer was a woman, 40s, sharp features, expensive suit. Margaret Ashford, lead attorney at Sterling and Cross. Judge Thornton entered. All rise. We stood. She was 50-something, black woman with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. Be seated. Case number 2024, CV 8831. Petition to overturn declaration of death for Nathan Crowley. Mr. Kowalski, you're representing the petitioner? Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Ashford, you're representing the respondent, Diane Crowley? Correct, Your Honor. Judge Thornton looked at me. Mr. Crowley, you're claiming the death declaration filed in August 2022 was erroneous? Yes, Your Honor. I was alive then, and I'm alive now. She glanced at the files in front of her. I've reviewed the documentation submitted by both parties. This is an unusual case. Ms. Ashford, you're contesting the petitioner's identity? We are, Your Honor. While we acknowledge the physical resemblance, we believe there are significant inconsistencies that warrant further investigation before overturning a legally issued death certificate. Judge Thornton's eyebrow raised slightly. The petitioner has provided federal documentation, fingerprint matches, DNA analysis. What inconsistencies are you referring to? Ashford stood. Your Honor, Nathan Crowley disappeared in March 2022 under suspicious circumstances. He left behind his personal belongings, his vehicle was found abandoned, and he had exhibited signs of severe depression and substance abuse. His family, after months of searching and grief, made the painful decision to file for death declaration. Now, 3 years later, a man appears claiming to be Nathan. While he may genuinely believe he is, we question whether he might be suffering from mistaken identity, or worse, deliberately attempting to defraud the estate. Kowalski was on his feet. Your Honor, this is absurd. The FBI has confirmed my client's identity. He was in federal witness protection. There's a documented chain of custody for his identity throughout his absence. Ashford didn't miss a beat. The alleged witness protection is convenient, Your Honor. It's untestable, unverifiable by anyone outside federal agencies who have every reason to support the narrative. We've requested independent verification, which has been denied on grounds of national security. How convenient that the one alibi this man offers cannot be questioned. Judge Thornton held up a hand. Ms. Ashford, are you suggesting the FBI is participating in fraud? I'm suggesting, Your Honor, that my client has the right to protect herself from potential imposters or delusional individuals. Diane Crowley buried her son. She mourned him. She received a legitimate insurance payout based on a legally issued death certificate. Now her life, her finances, and her peace are being disrupted. Judge Thornton looked tired. I'm going to hear testimony. Ms. Ashford, call your first witness. Diane Crowley took the stand. She looked fragile, older than her 63 years. She was sworn in, sat carefully. Ashford approached gently. Mrs. Crowley, can you describe your relationship with your son, Nathan? My voice caught. We were close. He was my firstborn. A good boy, but troubled. Troubled how? He struggled with depression. Started drinking heavily in his late 20s. Lost a job, had relationship problems. We tried to help, but he pushed us away. That's a lie, I whispered. Kowalski touched my arm. Let her talk. We'll cross-examine. Mrs. Crowley, what happened in March 2022? Ashford's voice was sympathetic. Nathan came to dinner. Sunday, March 6th. He seemed off, distracted. He'd been drinking. We talked about getting him help, maybe rehab. He got angry, left early. That was the last time I saw him. And after that, he didn't answer calls, didn't show up for work. On March 8th, his landlord called. Nathan's door was open. His apartment looked like someone had left in a hurry. Phone, wallet, keys were on the table. We called the police. They found his car at Revere Beach 2 days later. Keys in the ignition, driver's door open. My mother's voice broke. We searched for months. The police dragged the harbor. Nothing. He was gone. Ashford let the silence sit. When did you file the death declaration? August 2022, 5 months after he disappeared. The police said without a body, we had to wait. But we knew. He'd been so depressed, so lost. The beach, the abandoned car. It was obvious what happened. Ashford nodded. And now this man claims to be Nathan. Have you spoken with him? No, I can't. I buried my son. I mourned him. I can't go through this again. Mrs. Crowley, in your heart, do you believe this man is Nathan? She looked directly at me, tears in her eyes, voice steady. No, I don't. My son died 3 years ago. This is someone else. Someone cruel or confused, but not my Nathan. The courtroom was silent. Judge Thornton made notes. Kowalski stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Crowley, you said Nathan struggled with depression and drinking. Do you have medical records documenting this? Ashford objected. The witness isn't required to have her son's medical records. Overruled, Judge Thornton said. Answer the question. My mother hesitated. No, it was private. He didn't want us involved. So you have no actual documentation of depression or substance abuse? It's what we observed. Did Nathan ever attempt suicide before March 2022? No. Did he ever express suicidal thoughts to you? Not directly. Then how do you know he was suicidal? A mother knows. Kowalski paused. Mrs. Crowley, you collected $750,000 in life insurance after Nathan's death declaration. That's correct. And you inherited a portion of your husband's estate, which would have been split differently if Nathan were alive. My father's estate was distributed according to his will, which assumed Nathan was dead. Ashford stood. Objection. Counsel is implying improper motive. Judge Thornton looked at Kowalski. Where are you going with this? Your Honor, I'm establishing that Mrs. Crowley had significant financial incentive to declare Nathan dead, and I'm showing that her testimony about his mental state is unsupported by evidence. Thornton nodded. Proceed, but carefully. Kowalski turned back to my mother. Mrs. Crowley, did Nathan tell you he was testifying in a federal case? No. Did you know he'd witnessed a murder? No. Did you know the FBI placed him in witness protection? I read that in the petition. But it sounds like something Nathan would make up. He always had an active imagination. Kowalski's voice sharpened. So the FBI is lying? The federal documentation is fabricated? I don't know. I just know my son is dead. Your Honor, Kowalski said, I'd like to call Special Agent Leonard Briggs. Judge Thornton nodded. Agent Briggs took the stand. Tall, solid federal presence that filled the room. He was sworn in. State your name and occupation for the record. Leonard Briggs. Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Boston Field Office. 22 years of service. How do you know Nathan Crowley? I was the lead investigator on the case he witnessed. February 2022, he observed a homicide connected to the Donovan organized crime family. He provided testimony that led to multiple convictions. Due to credible threats on his life, he was placed in federal witness protection. Can you confirm the man sitting at the petitioner's table is Nathan Crowley? Absolutely. I've known him for 3 years. Fingerprints, DNA, and facial recognition all confirm his identity. There's no doubt. Briggs pulled out a file. This is Nathan's WITSEC record. Placement in Cincinnati under an assumed identity. Monthly check-ins with his handler. Financial stipends. Medical care. Everything documented. Why wasn't his family notified? We don't notify families. Witness protection requires complete separation. If Nathan had contacted his family, it could have compromised his safety and blown his cover. Ashford stood for cross. Agent Briggs, isn't it true that Nathan left witness protection without proper authorization? There was an administrative error. His handler became incapacitated, and the case file wasn't transferred correctly. Nathan believed he had verbal authorization to return. He was mistaken, but it was an honest mistake. So he violated protocol? It was a gray area. The threats against him had been neutralized. The Donovans are in federal prison. He wasn't in immediate danger. But you didn't give him written permission to leave? Not initially. We've since issued retroactive authorization given the circumstances. Ashford smiled. How convenient. Agent Briggs, could someone fabricate a witness protection story? Could they claim to have been in WITSEC when they weren't? Theoretically, but we have documentation. Records, photos, financial transactions, medical files. This isn't a story. It's verified fact. And yet, for 3 years, Nathan Crowley was legally dead. The government didn't correct that. We didn't know about the death declaration until Nathan contacted us last month. Ms. Ashford, are you suggesting the FBI is part of a conspiracy? I'm suggesting that your testimony, while impressive, doesn't change the fact that this man abandoned his family, let them believe he was dead, and now wants to reclaim assets he has no right to. That's not what happened, Briggs said evenly. Nathan Crowley sacrificed 3 years of his life to bring dangerous criminals to justice. His family took advantage of his absence to declare him dead and profit from it. That's fraud. Ashford's face flushed. Alleged fraud. Judge Thornton intervened. That's enough. Agent Briggs, you may step down. She looked at both lawyers. I'm going to recess for 30 minutes. When we return, I want to hear from the petitioner himself. Court's in recess. We stood. My mother was crying quietly. Victoria sat beside her, arm around her shoulders. Neither looked at me. Kowalski and I went to a conference room down the hall. You did great staying quiet, he said. Now you need to testify. Tell your story. Be honest. Be clear. Don't get emotional. Just facts. I nodded, but my hands were shaking. When we returned, I took the stand. Felt every eye on me. Judge Thornton looked at me directly. Mr. Crowley, tell me in your own words what happened. I took a breath. On February 28th, 2022, I was leaving work late. I'm a software engineer, was working for a tech startup in Cambridge. I parked in a garage on level 3. As I walked to my car, I heard shots. I hit the ground, saw 2 men standing over a third who was bleeding. They saw me. I ran, called 911. The victim died before the ambulance arrived. The men who killed him were connected to the Donovan family. The FBI contacted me the next day, told me if I testified I'd need protection. I testified anyway. Then I was relocated. I couldn't tell my family, couldn't explain. The marshals said any contact could get me killed, so I went to Cincinnati, lived under a fake name for 3 years, did everything they told me. Then my handler stopped responding. I tried to get help, but the system failed. Finally, I was told the threat was over. I could come home. So I did, and found out I was dead. Judge Thornton made notes. Why didn't you contact your family sooner? I couldn't. It was against protocol. And honestly, Judge, I thought they'd be relieved to see me. I thought they'd understand. I didn't expect this. She looked at my mother. Mrs. Crowley, do you want to ask him anything? My mother stood slowly. Her lawyer whispered something, but she shook her head. She looked at me. If you're really Nathan, tell me something only he would know. Something private, I thought. The summer I was 10, you took me to the Cape. We went to a beach in Wellfleet. I found a horseshoe crab, wanted to keep it. You said no, that it belonged to the ocean. We put it back together. You told me sometimes the right thing is the hardest thing. My mother's face crumbled. That was supposed to be our memory. You could have learned that somehow. How? You never told anyone. It was just us. She sat down, put her face in her hands. Victoria stood suddenly. Your Honor, may I say something? Judge Thornton nodded. Victoria approached the stand. She looked at me closely. You have a scar. Left shoulder. You got it when you were 16. Fell off your bike trying to impress a girl named Rachel. I do. Show me. I pulled my shirt collar down. The scar was there. 3 inches. Jagged. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Nathan? It's me, Vic. She turned to our mother. Mom, it's him. It's really him. My mother wouldn't look up. Ashford was standing. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Judge Thornton silenced her with a look. Let her speak. Victoria faced the judge. I don't know what my mother did or why, but that's my brother. I know it. I can feel it. And if she did something wrong, I want no part of it. She looked at me. I'm sorry, Nathan. I should have known. I should have looked harder. She walked out of the courtroom. The doors closed behind her with a soft thud. Judge Thornton sat back. Mrs. Crowley, I'm going to ask you directly. Do you believe this man is your son? My mother didn't answer. Margaret, Ashford said quietly, you need to answer. My mother's voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. Judge Thornton's expression hardened. You don't know? Or you don't want to know? Because there's a difference. My mother finally looked up. If he's Nathan, then I did something terrible. If he's not, then I'm protecting myself. Either way, I lose. You lose? Judge Thornton's voice was sharp. You collected $750,000 on a death that didn't happen. Your son spent 3 years in hiding to testify against criminals, and you used his absence to profit. If you lose anything, Mrs. Crowley, it's because you took what wasn't yours. Ashford tried to intervene. Your Honor, my client was acting in good faith based on the information available. There was no body, no contact. The police supported the theory of suicide. Good faith? Thornton cut her off. She waited 5 months, the minimum required by law. then immediately filed for death declaration and insurance. That's not grief. That's calculation. She looked at Kowalski. I'm ruling in favor of the petitioner. The death declaration is overturned effective immediately. Nathan Crowley is legally alive. The insurance company will be notified to recover the payout. The estate of Richard Crowley will be reopened to include Nathan as an heir, and I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential fraud investigation. The courtroom erupted. Ashford was objecting. My mother was crying. Kowalski was gripping my shoulder. Order. Judge Thornton banged her gavel. Order in this courtroom. She looked at my mother. Mrs. Crowley, I suggest you retain criminal counsel. You're going to need it. Court is adjourned. She stood and left. I sat there, unable to move, couldn't process it. 3 years of being invisible, and now I was real again. Legally, officially, undeniably real. Kowalski was talking, something about next steps and paperwork. I wasn't listening. I watched my mother leave, supported by Ashford, her face hidden. She didn't look back. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Cameras, microphones. Kowalski handled them. My client is grateful for the court's decision and looks forward to rebuilding his life. That's all. We pushed through. Victoria was waiting by my car. She looked wrecked. Can we talk? I don't know, Vic. I didn't know, Nathan. I swear I didn't. When Mom filed the death certificate, I thought you were really gone. I mourned you. When Dad died, I thought I'd lost everyone. I stared at her. You inherited money that should have been split 3 ways. I know. And I'll give you your share. All of it. I don't care about the money. I just want my brother back. She started crying. I'm so sorry. I wasn't sure I believed her, but I was tired of being angry. I pulled her into a hug. She held on tight, sobbing. We'll figure it out. I don't know how, but we will. The district attorney filed charges 3 weeks later. Insurance fraud, estate fraud, filing a false instrument. My mother faced up to 15 years. Ashford negotiated a plea. Diane Crowley pled guilty to reduced charges, agreed to repay the insurance money plus penalties, forfeited her portion of my father's estate, beyond what she was legally entitled to, with me included. She got 2 years probation, community service, a $50,000 fine, no jail time. The judge said she'd already lost her son. No need to lose her freedom too. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. Part of me wanted her to suffer the way I had. Part of me just wanted it over. Victoria kept her word. She hired accountants, split everything fairly, gave me my third of Dad's estate, helped me access accounts that had been frozen. We started having dinners again, slowly rebuilding something that felt like family. I never spoke to my mother again. She sent letters. I didn't open them. She called. I didn't answer. Some bridges burn completely, and you don't rebuild them. You just accept the ash and move on. 6 months after the hearing, I was sitting in my apartment. Real apartment now. Decent place in Cambridge. I'd gotten my old job back. The startup was understanding. Gave me my position and back pay for the time I'd been declared dead. Life was almost normal. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then did. Nathan Crowley? Yeah. This is Frank Donovan. Organized Crime Task Force, Boston PD. We've been tracking some concerning activity. Associates of the Donovan family have been making noise. Nothing concrete, but enough to worry us. I thought they were in prison. They are. But organizations like that have long memories. We just wanted to let you know to be careful. Keep your eyes open. If you see anything suspicious, call immediately. I hung up. Stared out the window at the city lights. 3 years in hiding. 6 months rebuilding my life. And still not free. Maybe I never would be. The cost of doing the right thing, of testifying, of refusing to let murderers win, was permanent vigilance, permanent fear. But I'd do it again. Because the alternative was letting them make me disappear. And I'd already been dead once. I wasn't going to let them kill me twice. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to Victoria's number, texted her. Dinner this week? Her response came immediately. Absolutely. My place. I'll cook. I smiled, leaned back, watched the city breathe below me. Somewhere out there, my mother was living with what she'd done. The money she'd stolen, the son she'd buried alive, the choices that had seemed justified when she made them and haunted her now. I didn't forgive her. Probably never would. But I understood something she never could. Being declared dead had freed me in ways she'd never intended. I'd learned to survive without family, without identity, without anything but myself. And when I came back stronger. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted truth. And truth, unlike death, can't be declared away by signatures and certificates and convenient timing. Truth just is. And I was living proof. I'm Nathan Crowley. I'm alive. And I'm not going anywhere. Ever again. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.